let me get to the part that I'm the most excited about, our future vision and direction. We've talked so far about how at Nutanix, we are delivering a platform at an infrastructure level that cuts across all your locations, your public cloud, edge, your data centers, everywhere, and provides you that consistent environment. Now, what do you do with that infrastructure? You're running these applications. And increasingly, you're building a number of these new modern applications. Now, when you build these applications, what do they need? They need an underlying compute substrate. And today, for the most part, for modern applications, that's Kubernetes. And Kubernetes is available everywhere in every native substrate. You can get it anywhere you want, on any platform today. But each of these apps also needs a set of data services. Every app typically will need a database or multiple databases. Apps will also need search, messaging, streaming, caching, etc. Right? With Project Beacon, we're making this easy, helping you to build an app once with a consistent set of data services available anywhere, so that you can now build an app once, and it's a fully portable app that you can deploy anywhere. This is a multi-year journey for us as a company, but this is what will enable you to build at the next level apps that will free you up from any kind of lock-in. To talk about this more in detail, I'd like to invite Tobias Sternstrom to the stage. So Tobias, welcome. So, I just introduced Project Beacon, and now we're not starting here from scratch. We've got this Nutanix database service that you run, NDB. What have we learned that provides a foundation for all this Project Beacon work going forward?
Yeah, sure. So I think, first of all, what we see from our customers in the market is they run lots and lots of databases. And, large organizations run literally thousands to tens of thousands of databases today of different variations. And there are two trends specifically that actually are accelerating the number of databases out there. So one is the use of microservices. You chop an app into pieces, then naturally each piece, each microservice, needs its own database. And on top of this, you use multiple database engines for a single app or a single microservice. So for example, both a relational database and a document database. And as you can imagine, this leads to challenges. Right? And I think the three big ones, if you will, is number one, database administrators are overloaded. They need to manage more and more. Number two, developers are slowed down because they need access to the database they need to work on quickly. And they want to self-service this need. They don't want to go and ask a person or send an email to get the database. And finally, there is a big move generally away from proprietary databases to open source databases like Postgres. So really what we focus on with the Nutanix database service is, automating the lifecycle management of databases. So things like provisioning, configuring high availability, disaster recovery, backup, restore, and so on. So the DBA team can really focus on the most strategic databases and then the database strategy optimization and so on. And to enable developers to just self-service their database needs, have it completely integrated into their CI/CD pipelines and so on.
So what databases do we support today?
So today we support the 5 most popular databases out there. This is Postgres, MongoDB, MySQL, Oracle database, and Microsoft SQL Server.
And where are we going in the future?
Well, so like you alluded to, with Project Beacon, where we're heading is, I'm a database guy, so I hate to say this, but it's apparently not just about databases. Apparently people use other data services also. So we're obviously going after things like Rajiv mentioned, caching, streaming, and so on. And there are really 2 other things we're doing as well. So one is support running on top of native cloud infrastructure. So things like EKS, AKS, EC2, EBS, S3, Azure Storage, and so on. And finally, providing this as a managed service. So basically building on top of our 90+ NPS support score to also operate and manage these services for you.
So Tobias, can you show us what Project Beacon will look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to.
All right, let's go take a look.
So what we're going to do here is we're going to show an app that runs, like Rajiv mentioned, on top of Kubernetes pod. And then the database itself is managed by Project Beacon, and it runs, in this case, on AWS. We're also going to look at what will it look like if you want to migrate that database to Azure. Yeah? So we spent lots of time debating what app to show, and we picked the most mission-critical app we could think of, which is obviously a meeting planner. And we can see we have 2 meetings planned, the really important meeting and a maybe even more important meeting. So that's the app. So switch over to the Amazon EKS. So the pod itself runs on, or Kubernetes pod runs on Amazon EKS. So you can see here we have a pod running. So that runs the compute of this web platform or this web app. Now, the database, however, runs on top of Project Beacon. So you can see this Nutanix database service running on top of Project Beacon. We say there's one database here, a PostgreSQL database. And apparently, as you can see here, it's running on AWS.
And how is it running on AWS? Is it running on top of the Nutanix Cloud Platform or native?
No, it runs natively. So in this case, running on EC2, EBS, S3, if you will. Now, what does it look like if I want to provision a new database? So this is a little bit of a cooking show. So we already baked the database how this one is running. But if I go and say provision, I can go with simple or advanced provisioning. Let's do simple. And you can see here, I can pick which database engine to use. So in this case, we have Postgres selected here. I can go and select which cloud account. So we have AWS cloud account that I've hooked up. I've hooked up my Azure cloud account and a private cloud account with NCI. And to be clear here, the Project Beacon itself is managed and operated by us, but all of the cloud resources, VMs, volumes, containers, and so on, they run in the customer's cloud account. Now, you asked if it runs on native cloud, if you will, so we can switch over to the EC2 console, and this is the VM, in this case, powering this particular Postgres database.
So let me ask you one question, though. Amazon has their own RDS service that does something similar. What's the difference here between that and Project Beacon?
Yeah, so no, obviously RDS, great service. And there are really 2 differences. So first of all, RDS runs on Amazon infrastructure, whereas Project Beacon can run on AWS, on Azure, and on your own private cloud, either in your own data center or in the edge. So that's first. Number 2 is you have full control of the underlying resources. So for example, if you build something on Postgres, one of the great things with Postgres is you can build your own extensions to the database. So if you build your own extension, you can install that and run that on Project Beacon. Or sometimes you may have some software around for compliance or auditing that you need to install and run, and you can install that because you have full control of the resources.
Now, we talked about app portability earlier. How easy is it to port this app over to, say, Azure?
Well, so moving the app is easy because you can then just run the container on the other side and move from EKS, in this case, to AKS. However, the database is tricky, right? Because it carries the data and has a bunch of dependencies. So in typical case, this can take literally days to weeks to migrate the database, but that's something that we focus on to make sure that it's really super simple. Just click a button and migrate your database to another environment. So let's take a look at that. I'll switch over to the Project Beacon console again, and let's pick this database and go to Actions and Migrate. And here you can see the same thing. I can pick which type of environment I'm going to migrate to. So let's pick Microsoft Azure, and it's picked now the Azure cloud account that I've hooked up. And literally when I click migrate, we pick up all of the pieces and take care of deploying the compute on the other side, migrating the data, configuring everything so you're up and running on Azure. And let me click migrate. It takes a little bit of time. So while this is running, we can switch over and see we have the VM, in this case, pre-run, if you will, pre-migrated, but it's running on Azure in the Azure Cloud Console.
So a very easy single-click migration, almost, of a database from AWS to Azure.
Absolutely.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Tobias. Thanks for that demo.
Thank you.
Great flavor of
what's to come.
Thank you. So you got a flavor for what Project Beacon is all about, and this is our vision. It's going to take us multiple years to get to the full extent of that vision, but the notion is you can build this app once with a consistent set of data services and really run that app anywhere you choose to. And of course, also move your data across all of these multiple environments. I'm excited about the future, and together we can create that. And I'd like to leave you today with a very simple thing. We want to be your trusted technology partner for the next decade and help you on your journeys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.